Hi, I'm Brandon Porter. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Baptist Press This Week. The month of August is a time when Southern Baptists focus especially on compassion. During the SBC Emphasis Month in August, we look at Send Relief, the Serve Tour, and Global Hunger Sunday. Over these next few minutes, we're going to talk with Dr. Paul Chitwood, the president of the International Mission Board, and Dr. Kevin Ezell, president of the North American Mission Board, to learn more about these things, about Send Relief, about the Serve Tour, about how your church can be involved in Global Hunger Sunday. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us for these conversations. Dr. Chitwood, thank you for joining us. We want to talk with you just a little bit about this August emphasis of serving others. We know that much of that is going to focus on Send Relief, and Send Relief is still a relatively new endeavor in the Southern Baptist Convention. And so I thought it might just be a good idea if we start at the beginning, in case somebody doesn't know what Send Relief is. Help them understand what Send Relief is.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for this opportunity, Brandon.
Yeah.
Send Relief is essentially the compassion ministry arm of Southern Baptist. It is a formal partnership between the International Mission Board, which is our overseas mission and ministry arm of the Southern Baptist Convention, and our North American Mission Board, which is obviously our home mission board, our ministry and missions and church planning arm of the Southern Baptist Convention. So we both, the NAMB and NAMB, along with state conventions, we do compassion ministries, help churches carry out that directive of the Lord to show the love of Christ in practical ways. And we wanted to create a partnership between North American Mission Board and International Mission Board that makes it as easy as possible for churches to get involved in compassion ministries at home or around the world, to give to compassion ministries at home or around the world. And that's what Send Relief is. We know that Southern Baptists are very generous people. They're very compassionate people. They want to love and help the hurting. And there are lots of organizations out there that you can do that through. There's only one that is Southern Baptist. There's only one that is our own, and that is Send Relief. And so any work that you want to be involved in overseas through Send Relief or give to, ultimately that comes to and through the International Mission Board. Anything that you're giving to or wanting to serve in here at home comes through the North American Mission Board. So it's a great opportunity for us to make simple Southern Baptists showing the love of Christ in practical ways to those who are hurting at home or around the world.
I tell you, one of the ways that we've seen Send Relief really be effective in 2022 is in the Ukraine, the war with the Ukraine. I know you spent some time in that part of the world. Tell us just for a minute. It's been a little bit of time now since you've been there. What are your takeaways? What do you keep thinking about when you think about your time there, trying to help people, help churches?
Well, the incredible need, obviously, people's lives are devastated, their homes are devastated, their country is being devastated. And yet, from the very beginning, in fact, before the beginning of the war, Southern Baptists were responding. We have had missionaries literally for decades in that part of the world, and they've planted churches and helped those churches form their own conventions and unions. And so we have great partners who are there, and our workers, our missionaries still, again, in many countries in that part of the world. So we were able to respond even before the war. When the Russian troops began to build up on the border, you immediately began to see a food crisis in Ukraine. And so we were able to help with feeding programs in Ukraine before the war. When the war began, already had partners in place, and we appealed to Southern Baptists. Overwhelming generosity. We've seen, close to $12 million be given already, just dedicated to the relief efforts in Ukraine and helping refugees come out of Ukraine. And that allowed us, again, immediately to have a tremendous impact. Two things that we're seeing now. One is the evangelistic opportunity, because as we are helping meet these practical needs, we're also there to share the gospel. Churches in surrounding countries countries that we're working with, countries like Poland and Romania. They're sharing the gospel. We're working with them, helping fund the efforts. We're doing some unique digital engagement, sharing the gospel with people who are on Facebook, and every Ukrainian is glued to their phone trying to figure out, are my loved ones alive? What's going on with the war? And so we're able to engage them in that context, and we've seen a huge response to that. The other thing highlight is, at this point, so many Ukrainians are going back in, even to war zones. They want to be back home, want to be back with their loved ones. They're having a hard time sometimes sustaining themselves outside the country. We have made a huge investment in the gifts that have been given to provide relief inside Ukraine. So food going into Ukraine, millions of dollars worth of food and relief supplies that in partnership with churches that we have relationships with in Ukraine Baptist churches, seminaries in Ukraine that we've helped start. We're able to distribute those goods, and it's making just a tremendous impact. And as the gospel goes with it, an eternal impact.
That's great. That's good news. As we think about these emphasis Sundays that come up throughout the year, what's the value of those? And maybe just to put your pastoral hat on for a moment, what are some ways that a pastor, that a church can really utilize those Sundays?
I think one of the greatest values from our perspective, from my perspective, is that, there are a lot of Southern Baptists out there. It's a large constituency, between 40 and 50,000 churches. Southern Baptists are counted as about 14, between 14 and 15 million people. And so getting information to them, just making them aware that Sin Relief exists, that instead of when a crisis hits and their heartstrings are pulled, them turning to some other organization that is not their own and is not Southern Baptist or even the Red Cross or some other faith-based organization, they have their own organization. So Sin Relief Sunday is a chance to communicate to the congregation, to every person in the pew, hey, we have a compassion ministry arm, and it is Sin Relief, and here's the good work that's done. And one of the unique things, as you know, in the cooperative mission efforts of Southern Baptists, is that when you give to a specific cause, every penny of that goes to the cause. There's no overhead. There's no promotional costs taken out. We are unlike any other organization. Every other organization, has to fund the machine of the organization. So there's overhead costs. There's promotional costs. That's not true in the work of Sin Relief, because the cooperative program has provided the overhead costs. And as we know, most cooperative program dollars go to do ministry on the ground as well, but it also helps provide for that overhead cost. So every penny of a gift specifically given to Sin Relief or through Sin Relief goes to the need on the ground. That's a huge deal. We're excited about being able to communicate that to Southern Baptists. What I would like to see in local churches is just those things communicated in such a way that it rallies Southern Baptists around this cause of helping the hurting and doing it in a way that they can trust, in a way that they know the gospel also goes for us. Not just meeting human needs, we're also meeting the greatest need, as compassion ministries are a way for us to be able to share the good news of the gospel with people. So, as a pastor, when I preached on our need to love the poor and the hurting, I always wanted to emphasize that the greatest act of love is to share Christ with them. And through Sin Relief, we're able to do both.
Yeah. One of those emphasis in August is Global Hunger Sunday. It comes up in late August, I think August the 28th in 2022. Talk a little bit about that Sunday. That may be something that flies under the radar of some Southern Baptist churches.
Well, it is, but it's been around a long time. So Southern Baptist has been doing World Hunger Relief and had a World Hunger offering for decades. And we've really actually seen, since Sin Relief has gotten more involved, the IMB and NAMB, re-engaging this and promoting it, we're seeing growing interest and growing generosity. the needs are greater than they've ever been. I mean, there are more hungry people in the world today than at any time in human history. The numbers are, a little overwhelming. We recognize that there's so many factors contributing to it today, and unrest and war and climate shocks that result in crop failures, and that's always been a part of human history. But now, when we have so many concentrated, farming areas, when that area is hit, it affects so many people more than in the past. So there estimated to be 345 million people on the brink of starvation in the world today. Now think about it, 345 million people on the brink of starvation. That's a 25% increase just since the beginning of the Russian-Ukraine war, because as we often hear Ukraine referred to as the breadbasket of Europe, so many crops grown there, and just a disruption of all of that, the availability of goods, it's escalated this problem in a huge way. There are more than 2 billion people who face moderate or severe difficulty in getting enough food to eat. We're told that almost 1 billion people face food scarcity, but then you get down to that 345 million on the brink of starvation. So our emphasis here meets really a life and death need. We're able to enter in to the most desperate situations and provide a life-giving meal, food, clean water, and this Sunday and this emphasis for Southern Baptists is a way for us to rally generosity focused on that specific need, and then make a tremendous impact around the world. So we're hoping that we'll see, again, a growing emphasis on this, a growing generosity, because the need is so pressing.
Well, we appreciate your time, Dr. Chitwood. Thank you for all that you're doing, and the folks there at IMB and with Send Relief.
Oh, thank you, Brandon, again for the time today, and appreciate your partnership.
Stick around. When we come back, Dr. Kevin Ezell from the North American Mission Board will be with us on Baptist Press This Week.
We are at our best when we serve our neighbors in Jesus' name. That's the purpose of the Send Relief Serve Tour. In cities across America, volunteers are partnering with churches and community leaders to make a real, lasting difference in the lives of people in need. And next year, we're going international. Build relationships with people who desperately need to know they're loved. Build partnerships with believers and churches already serving in these communities. God can use you to make a lasting impact. Learn more and register today at servetour.org.
Dr. Ezell, thanks for joining us for a few minutes today here at Baptist Press. We want to talk to you a little bit about compassion ministry and the emphasis in the month of August in the Southern Baptist Convention. Send Relief is still a relatively new operation endeavor of the SBC. Dr. Chitwood gave us a little bit of an overview of Send Relief, but I wanted to just ask you your thought on how do you think it's going? How's it going so far?
Sure. I'll be glad to correct anything Dr. Chitwood did wrong. All right. We're thrilled with how it's going. One, we're thankful to have the partnership now with IMB to make it a one-stop shop for pastors. We want to make it really easy for pastors when it comes to mercy, compassion, and they know that they could go to Send Relief for that. And the unique thing about Send Relief is 100% of the funds that they give to items, ministries of Send Relief go to that ministry. And so far, we feel like it's going really well compared to the amount of age it has behind it, and not only in the SBC, but beyond the SBC.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit about the Serve Tour and how it connects to NAMB, to Send Relief, to that compassion ministry.
Yeah, it's a thing out of NAMB, but really it serves all of Send Relief. What we want to do is take Send Relief on the road and show people how to meet needs and change lives where they are. Southern Baptist for years, as you know, have been very good at disaster relief. Southern Baptist disaster relief teams are phenomenal. But Southern Baptists do great work outside of even disasters, and we want to show them how to do that and be very intentional. So those have gone extremely well. It's kind of like taking Broadway on the road, helping people just understand and have access to things they normally wouldn't. And so that's the intent. And they've been incredibly successful. I mean, literally thousands of volunteers have been mobilized. And quite honestly, we had people who have gifts and ability, and some early retirees that have time and had more time and energy than they had disasters to go to. And there just wasn't enough, in a sense, you say enough disasters. So we show them, look, there's many ways you can serve beyond just disasters. And it's been a great thing. We're very thankful for, and we'll still do, 8, 9 of those a year.
How can a church get involved in one of those?
It's really just to sign up. You go to Send Relief, and we have a whole tour list, as we call it a tour, where you just look at the dates that might fit. You can go to all of them, or you can go obviously to none of them. But we say, hey, pick one, and once you pick one, you're going to want to go again, because they build a sense of brotherhood. When the people go on these sites, they'll go for sometimes 3, 5, 7 days, and they build these friendships with people from other churches and say, hey, look, we're going to go to Louisiana. Are you going to go to that one? Yeah, well, we weren't, but we will. And so they go and they build these friendships, and you see that with a lot of groups like Campers for Christ or the Builder group, all those. It's all about that sense of brotherhood. And I could not be more proud to be Southern Baptist. Southern Baptists are doing a lot of spectacular things, and we need to celebrate the good. And so often it's easy to focus on some of the challenging things or the crazy uncles, but we have 99.8%. That's not a technical survey, but the majority of Southern Baptists out there really want to serve people, and we're just giving them an avenue to do that.
Yeah, and one of the great things about SBC work is how we are prepared to go because of the cooperative program.
Absolutely. And again, that's the reason that when donors give to Send Relief, 100% of it goes to that particular project, because cooperative program is providing the missionaries, the Send Relief missionaries that we have and on the field. And so you're absolutely right. It's really, there's not a better example of us all working together than when we're serving others.
Yeah. Well, listen, one of the main emphasis of this month of August is Send Relief. It's the Serve Tour. A little later in the month, it's Global Hunger Sunday. So some very important needs and causes come up in the month of August. But put your pastor hat back on for just a moment and maybe give a word to pastors as they prepare to communicate the importance of this, maybe share some examples, try to motivate and encourage people in their churches. How would they use these emphasis Sundays to do that?
Oh, thanks for the opportunity to do that. It gives people an opportunity to put feet where their heart is. There are needs within the shadow of your own steeple that are not being met. And sometimes people just don't think of those things. And we used to have a wheelchair ramp crew at our church, and they were trying to find people they could do wheelchair ramps for. We had a homeless ministry started because they saw a need in Guatemala and thought, there might be a need like that where we are. And they go back, and sure enough, they started a week-to-week ministry to the homeless. And so it just helps open people's eyes. And it's not that you're not doing different things all throughout the year, you are. But this is a particular month where we can say, look, consider expanding, what you provide or ministries you provide. What I found as a pastor, when I just let my people loose, gave them permission to say, hey, go at it, wear it out, they would be creative in their own minds. And so I always had some incredibly zealous, hardworking, faithful people who had time to engage. And I would just encourage pastors to look for ways. There's ways they can do that. Everybody has typically work days on Saturdays, but there's no reason you can't let people do it on Tuesday or Thursday or on. And that's what this is designed to do, is to just be reminded there are real simple ways we can serve people. Inexpensive. It's not a heavy budget demand, if anything. But just let them and give them the freedom to go and do it.
You probably already answered this in several different ways, so let me just ask it one more time. When you think about Send Relief, it really is one of the newer endeavors in the SBC. What excites you about that?
Sure. Meeting needs and changing lives. If it's not if it's in New York City, or if it's in Baton Rouge or in somewhere in Maine, where you see people ministering to people. What really excites me is seeing some of these Gen Send, it's our summer program, serving in these Send Relief ministry sites, and seeing them learn to serve and people from all walks of life. We've just opened our huge Send Relief Center in Puerto Rico, and we have one we're about to open on the border. And so it just gives people a lot of different opportunities to serve in any way that they might have a passion. And the next generation, what really excites me is this next generation. I mean, the collegiate students that we have engaging in these ways, it's just phenomenal. And to watch them work and serve in such a selfless way is incredible.
That's great. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate the information, the encouragement, and appreciate all that you and NAMB are doing to help carry that mission forward.
Well, thank you for the opportunity just to talk about Send Relief, and we could not be more thrilled with our partnership with IMB in this and Dr. Chitwood, and man, just greater days ahead. It's going to be fun to see it happen.
Thanks to Dr. Chitwood and Dr. Ezell for joining us for Baptist Press this week. Make sure to visit our website, baptistpress.com, where you can find stories on all the things that we've talked about today and much more about the happenings in the Southern Baptist Convention. Visit us at baptistpress.com. Thanks for watching.